Yo, this is Joel Davis,
And I'm Gracie Davis,
and this is Greater Than Real Estate.
where we go deep to find out who you really are beyond real estate.
Welcome back to Greater Than Real Estate. We're super excited to have Lauren Kerschen in the studio with us. We'll give you a little bit of background about Lauren. She is Texas born and raised, TCU alumni, majored in ballet at TCU before switching to business, a double major in marketing and supply chain. She is a mom of two, Audrey and Weston. She's been married for almost 12 years to her husband, Chris. She is the team lead for DFW's finest real estate group. And she loves reading. She's read over 100 books in a year. Wow. And she's obsessed with a Peloton. So
That's awesome.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Sums me up pretty nicely.
So you said in there, you're a huge book reader. Have you always been a bookworm?
Not really. It really started when I started in real estate, just because before, I don't know when I would have read books ever in my corporate life.
Yeah.
But I'm in the car so much, so I listen. I don't read.
Okay.
I think it's a little misleading to say I read 100. Well, it was 136, but I listen while I'm driving, and that is often.
Yeah.
So are these like nonfiction, fiction,
It's
self-help,
a mix of
or
everything?
Yeah.
Chick lit, suspense, business, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I love it all.
is there any books that you've read business-wise that has completely changed or overhauled your real estate career?
Never Split the Difference is an amazing book.
Mhm.
It is just so practical. Like sometimes when you read business books, you're like, okay, that's good, but how do I implement it? Or like how do I do this in my own world? That book is just so like, do this, not this. Now when you're in this situation, do this. And it's just really good, smart stuff. Stuff you might think, oh, that's kind of a no-brainer, but really it's not. You don't do it naturally. So it's a great book.
So that book is specific to real estate?
No, it's not. It's about negotiating. And
Okay.
it's written by someone who used to negotiate for like the government or the CIA or something. I'm probably totally messing that up, but he was some kind of something like that.
Okay. Very interesting.
Yeah, and it was good. And that book and Outliers are the two like businessy books that I love the most. Outliers is just about people who like have been majorly successful, and it's proving that it's not some kind of trick or some kind of like magic that they have that other people don't have. It just shows a walkthrough of exactly how they got there because they worked hard and they were put into positions where they could work hard and throw their entire life into the whatever they were interested in.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
On the Outliers book, are there, because I'm sure it goes over multiple people, do a lot of those people have kind of the same characteristics and the things that they do together?
Yeah, it's have you ever heard like if you do something for 10,000 hours, you'll become an expert?
Yeah.
It's basically that theme. So it's all different kinds of industries like tech, like Bill Gates and Michael Jordan and other people who are just like the best at what they do. And even people you've probably never heard of that he just kind of highlighted for look at how amazing their world turned out because they put in the time and the work.
Yeah.
For me, that's it just hits home because I don't consider myself an expert at anything. I can be good at a lot of things, but I do have to work for it, and I don't mind the hard work. And so to hear that you can really, truly be successful at anything if you just put in the work, it gives me a lot of hope. Also, as a team leader, it gives me hope to pass that on to the team to say, like, guys, trust me. If you're consistent and you show up and you do the work, like it's gonna hit.
Yeah.
It'll hit. It may take longer than you want it to, but it'll hit.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some of the fun books that you've been reading lately?
All over the map. I think right now I'm reading one. It's called The Hating Game, which is just like a romance book. It's not even nothing. I love the ones that can just turn my brain off every now and again.
Yeah.
And right before that, it was a mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just
Love
random
mystery
all over the place. The Libby app is like the library app where you can listen to audiobooks. And so whatever's available, like I'll just pop it on.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's free.
I've never even heard of that.
Get a library card, get the Libby app. You can listen to like any book, basically. You might have to wait for it. because they only have a couple copies of everything. But
yeah.
once it's off hold, you can listen to it.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Okay.
Library cards, that's going way
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They still exist.
Yeah. I was going to say, I didn't know they still existed. I use like audiobooks, but
Yeah. Audible.
And that's
Yeah.
what and the Libby app also has digital books, but I do it for audiobooks.
yeah.
Interesting.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, obviously now you're in real estate. And then previous to that, you were in college. Did you have a job in between real estate and college?
Yeah, so for about 13 years, I was a supply chain strategist.
Okay.
Which sounds kind of confusing, but I was basically the senior manager of this e-commerce strategy side of supply chain for first Bell Helicopter and then Pier 1 Imports before it went out of business. I was there for like 6 years. And then Sally Beauty was my last stop before deciding to switch to real estate.
Okay.
It was a very scary decision,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'm extremely glad that I did it.
Yeah.
Shout out to Pier 1 Imports always having the massage chairs you could try out in the mall.
Yeah. And I loved that company. That was such a sad, I think the whole world felt that one. It was like, really, Pier 1's gone after that many years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy. So, you took that leap into real estate. Why real estate? Why not something else?
Yeah.
Really, I grew up loving real estate. We moved a lot when I was a kid, mostly because my parents were always kind of chasing the next American dream situation. So it was always to try to next level up our living situation. But I also feel like they kind of got a little antsy, after a few years of somewhere. And even when we weren't looking to move, we would just drive around on the weekends and go to open houses and stuff. And that was back before you could get a notification that there was an open house. Like you had to drive around and find the signs.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we would do that as kids all the time. So in the back of my head, I always loved it. I never thought of it as a career or something that I would do. But I'm a serial entrepreneur, just like my dad. If I listed all the things my dad did, you guys would be like, what? But yeah, I just have always wanted to run my own business.
Yeah.
Have my own drive to do something that I feel like is working towards a goal that I have versus a goal that somebody else might have, or a business that might, not align with my goals. And my mother-in-law has been in real estate for 25 years.
Wow.
And so watching her do it and watching how much she loved it, I was like, man, that I could do that. I think I could really do that. Yeah. And so she's been great for just helping me learn how to talk to clients and the little things that you can't learn from books or you can't learn from getting your license. She's been so great about that stuff because she's been with clients and she treats them like her own kids. Like she wants them to be successful in the transaction. So she's really been huge in teaching me how to say all that stuff to people and communicate how I feel about transactions versus just this is the law and you have to do it this way.
Yeah, that's awesome. So would you say at the beginning of your career, she was kind of a mentor for you in getting into, knowing exactly how to do real estate?
Yeah, absolutely. And I started at a brokerage that got really good training too. And she was just there for any little questions that I had. I mean, I think for the first year, I called her every single time we were in option, just remind me how to count option days again. Okay, is today 1 or 0?
Yeah.
And she was like, it's okay. Ask me however many times it takes for you to get it in your head.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I wish more people in real estate, or the lending, the insurance aspect had the opportunity to have somebody like that. Yeah. I know.
I agree.
Me personally, I didn't have the best mentor when I first got into it. So just being able to see people have good mentorships, or not just that, but also seek it out, because that's something that's tough for people to do, is to humble themselves to be like, hey, I don't know everything. Can I learn from you? Yeah. But also people being humble enough to be like, yeah, come on. And I think that's so cool because she had a no scarcity mindset. She knew the business that she was going to get was the ones that she was going to get. And she knew you were going to get business, and there's plenty for everybody. Yeah. But just being able to help people out like that, granted, she has family, so she should help you. Yeah. But it's just,
you would hope.
But it's just cool that she did that.
Yeah, I think a lot of, especially, the 25 years plus group of real estate agents felt like they had to hold a lot of the business close to their chest. And she's even said that, in her past, people didn't share the way that we share information now. Yeah. About 2 years into real estate, I realized I needed a coach. And that took a lot of convincing of myself and my husband, because it's expensive to have a coach.
Yeah.
But doing that changed the game for me completely. I love turning in homework. I will do what I say I'm going to do. So if I tell my coach I'm going to do something, I will do it. And having that accountability plus the sharing of ideas that the Tom Ferry ecosystem gives us is like, it's been amazing. So if you don't have somebody like your mother-in-law to mentor you, I would recommend looking into coaching.
Yeah, so there's tons of coaching programs out there. Which one did you go with?
Tom Ferry. He's, I think he's the number one coach in the real estate industry. But depending on what study you look at, that might be different. But the entire ecosystem is like rip off and duplicate. Like you're doing that and it works really, really well.
Yeah.
Do the exact same thing. Like when we go to Summit or like his conventions or whatever, he'll put other people's stuff up on the screen and say, do this exactly. Like, go follow this person on Instagram, make this video. Or here's this workbook, follow this exactly. Or here's this, operating procedure, implement it into your business. And everyone in, the 40,000 plus people that follow Tom Ferry are all the same.
That's funny. So I also think it's very a big testament too, because I came from a sports background, and so many people are trying to reinvent the wheel instead of like, no, find somebody that does it good and do exactly what they do.
Yeah.
And it's so much more simpler than people try to make it.
Yeah. Now you can put your personality into it, instead of trying to replicate exactly somebody else's. But the idea, that just is out there hanging and it's working for somebody, like, snatch it.
Yeah.
Use it. Make it your own.
Absolutely. So you were in supply chain management, you said, for how many years? 13. And then you've been in real estate now for how many years? 3. Okay. So what would you say are some of like the similarities or the things that you learned from supply chain management that got you, where you are now that you could utilize in both, occupations?
Yeah. I mean, there's surprisingly a lot of things that I use on a daily basis. I was a 6 Sigma black belt. If you've never heard of that, it's because you're not a nerd. But it is basically a certification in process improvement. And so for Bell Helicopter, I worked at improving their processes on the manufacturing floor.
Interesting.
And so standard operating procedures and flow charts and graphs and we used to make these things called shadow boxes, which just help you do your job better. That kind of stuff is so translatable to real estate, because if you don't have systems in place, you're going to be trying to, chase your own tail.
Yeah.
Especially when you get busy.
Yeah.
Which even with systems in place, I feel like that a lot of the time too.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to get those things in place when you don't know what you don't know yet.
Yeah.
But I love that, my team is looking to me for that kind of stuff. So it's pushing me to make sure we have that in place. But just leadership in general. So I've been a manager of people since I was fresh out of college.
Yeah.
And so that I love being a manager. I know a lot of people hate it because you have to have crucial conversations and, you have to sometimes fire people, and that's horrible. And it really is horrible. And I cried every time, but you learn that stuff is just part of it, and you can't be afraid of them.
Yeah.
And so that's a huge part of real estate too. If you are afraid to have tough conversations, you should not be a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of tough conversations in real estate, and not everything goes as beautifully as Instagram makes it look. One of the things I love to do is work out loud, like let the people know what it takes to get to the finish line, because they might think this job is easy, because a lot of people just post under contract in 24 hours and you're like, that's fantastic, but what did you do and why? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
So I think just learning how to have tough conversations and be able to show people that it's not all roses all the time.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference.
So did that leadership aspect, did that come easy to you, or is that something that you really had to learn?
Having tough conversations was something I had to learn as I went. But getting people motivated, I've always kind of had that inside of me. Just because I get passionate and I think it just like pours out of me. Like I feel like we can do this no matter what it is. Even we had this project at Pier 1 that was awful. It was the worst project ever, ever. And we were trying to sell stuff on Amazon, just grasping at straws, trying not to go out of business. And I remember just being the little cheerleader over in the corner, like, Amazon, let's go. We can do this, everybody. It's horrible with a smile on my face.
Yeah, that's funny. So you mentioned that you have a lot of systems in place for real estate, which is similar to your background. So what are some of the systems that you've implemented into your real estate career now that have helped you?
We have processes for lead follow-up, especially, so a lot of leads come in without great information. So I've been able to convert leads with almost no contact information. And I've taught the team how to do it as well. And I think we can translate it over to many lead sources. Right now, it's really just 2 that we're using it on. But it's just about replicating the things that have worked, and knowing that you can massage and change those over time. They don't have to be stuck in the mud if they're not working.
Yeah.
And then just in general, like CRM, maintenance and follow up. And I don't think I have anything that's like really, mind blowing.
Yeah.
It's just like doing the things that you're supposed to do.
Just
every
doing
day.
it.
Yeah.
So let's kind of take it back a little bit. You talked about ballet. Ballet is a sport. I think it's cool. My toes would definitely not be able to hold up with it. But I'm curious, how'd you get into ballet? Because I know ballet has somewhat transferred over into your business for things that you've learned. But what got you into ballet, and you went to TCU on a ballet scholarship?
No.
Okay.
I just went for ballet. Like, that was my major.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what got you into ballet, and what were your dreams for ballet?
I don't know why I started, honestly. I was such a tomboy. It was like the exact opposite of what you would think I would have done. But I think it was because it was hard that I wanted to do it. That's kind of my personality. I'm like, is that really hard? Okay, let me see if I can do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a super disciplined sport. It's you have to have passion for it, because otherwise you will give up. I feel that way about real estate too, man. If you're not passionate about it, this is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
It is very difficult, especially starting out from the bottom. You got nothing and you're trying to build something, and a lot of people give up before their break is probably right around the corner, and they give up because they're just like, I've been trying so hard for this long.
Yeah.
But yeah, the dream for it was to take it all the way.
Yeah.
I got injured in my first year at TCU, and so it was like, now I have to find a new identity. And I hope I'm smart, because I really expected to be a ballerina for the rest of my life. And so high school, I just kind of breezed through, didn't really focus a lot on the education side. So when I got into the business school at TCU, I realized my brain is a wonderful thing, and I can mold it and change it just by trying hard. And so I loved the business school. It changed my life, honestly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it changed the whole trajectory of my life.
Wow. That's awesome. I love the fact that you said, oh, that thing's hard. I'm going to definitely try and do that, because I have the exact same personality. Yeah. And it was similar when I got into the insurance industry. It was very difficult, and there was a lot of turnover at our company, because people would work for 6 months, 3 months, and be like, this sucks. I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. So, for me, I saw that same kind of mindset of like, you have to just stick to it. You have to get through it. And like, eventually things will turn. And, now I have my own Goosehead agency. So it's like, it's a huge, you have to have that mentality to get through what we're doing. And, we're all doing it. So,
and honestly, the hard work is so frustrating sometimes, because there is no immediate gratification whatsoever.
Right.
And so a lot of people who don't realize that will try something and it doesn't work immediately, they'll move on to the next thing, and they're like, nothing I'm trying is working.
Yeah.
But I think what changed the game for me was the consistency of the same type of behavior on a day in, day out basis, even when nothing was going on.
Yeah.
Like at the beginning of 2023, I had one closing and didn't have another one until September of 2023. Like, it was terrifying. But I showed up every single day doing my lead gen activities and posting on social media in some form or fashion, mostly video. And the reason was I wanted people to know that I'm still out there,
Mm-hmm.
even though you're not seeing my just sold, just listed, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm still out there active, learning, growing, doing all the things that it takes. And then it was just like a windfall of business.
Yeah.
So if I could impart one thing to any new agent that's out there is like, just because it's not working today, tomorrow, or a month from now doesn't mean it's not going to work 3 months from now.
Right.
That's really
Absolutely.
good. So through that gap of not having business, what kept you going? Because this business we know has peaks and valleys, but you know, it's the valleys that really kind of build us and grow us more than the peaks. So what kept you going through that time?
I knew the consumer was scared. Like I knew that 2023 was scary. And they were like, I don't know what to do about these interest rates. These house prices are not going down. And I knew that if I just remained the consistent messenger for them, that when they were ready, they would come.
Yeah.
And that's really what has happened.
Yeah.
And I honestly think if you just pay attention to what's going on in the market and put yourself in the mindset of a buyer or seller, you will understand why they're not knocking down your door during certain times. And that's really what was happening in 2023. My entire office was feeling the pain. It was super weird because I was in a very high producing Century 21 office before I switched over. And it was like really crickets in the office for a long time, which did make me feel a little bit better about myself. It was like, it's not just me that's having this problem right now.
Yeah.
But also having I started with Tom Ferry coaching in May of last year of 2023. And if I didn't have my coach being like, just keep doing it, just keep showing up, don't give up, it would have been hard to just show up every single day.
Yeah.
I could have found a lot of other things to do with my time, like work out or read or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love your perseverance and your endurance in that. And it's very admirable because it is a tough industry and you've gotten to where you are now. So that's really awesome. Yeah. So I would love to know more, just a little bit about your family and if you can tell us how you and your husband met.
So y'all are going to learn all these weird things about me. I used to be in a cover band.
What?
Nice.
She did too.
Did you really?
Go.
That's awesome.
Actually, it wasn't a cover band.
Oh, yeah. Y'all
because
wrote
we
y'all's
did our
own music.
songs.
Sorry
did you?
about
So
that.
we did not at all. It was all the most popular songs that you would want to hear if you were out at a bar. And,
Yeah.
You know,
Let's go.
Yeah.
Lead
was
vocals?
Awesome. Yeah, vocals.
Let's go.
Yeah, it was really, really fun. We played Tuesdays and Thursdays in downtown Fort Worth.
Wow.
Our main spot was Houston Street, which has a really nice rooftop venue, basically.
Yeah.
So we were up on the rooftop playing. I think I was singing Alanis Morissette or something. No, I was singing Zombie by the Cranberries.
Let's go.
Yeah. And Chris was downstairs celebrating an engagement of some friends, and he was like, oh, I hear music upstairs. So he just walked up there by himself. Like everybody else was still downstairs. And he was like, I think I recognize a lot of people in this band because it was a lot of people from high school, a couple people from tech where he went to school. And he just started talking to the bassist, Sean, and he recognized me, but I didn't recognize him. I was like, he looks familiar, but I don't know who he is.
So y'all went to high school together?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And he pretended not to remember me, but then later after we were dating, he was like, I totally knew who you were. He was like, I had the biggest crush on you in high school, and you were so intimidating. I never talked to you. I was like, me? Intimidating? I was like, yeah, you used to drive. I drove my mom's Mustang in high school. He's like, you used to drive around listening to like Rage Against the Machine. I was like, I forgot that about myself. Yes, I did do that. That's hilarious. So yeah, we re-met, I guess you could say, and then it was. I told my friend, I was like, I'm gonna marry that guy, and she's like, how do you know? I was like, I don't know, I just do.
Wow,
that's awesome.
And when I set my mind to something, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right.
Usually it's the guy trying to serenade the woman. Now I guess the woman serenaded the guy.
Yes. Yeah, and he went to like all of our shows for the first few months of dating. It was pretty cool.
Did you make him pack all the stuff up in the vans and stuff?
No, I made the boys do that. The boys in the band.
Yeah. So the band was this when you were in college or was this after?
Okay. Yeah. And it was probably 2 years after college because for the first 2 years right after, I moved around every 6 months in a different position for the company that owned all these little companies that I would go to. It was the company that owns Bell Helicopter, which is how I ended up there.
Right.
But yeah, it was 2 years after. So he had just graduated and was in the workforce for like 6 months when we met.
So you're a big music person, I'm going to guess.
Yeah.
What is your favorite generation of music? Are you an 80s, 90s, 70s, 2000s?
2000s pop is pretty near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
But that's not cool. So, I mean, like rock from, I love it all. But I've always loved pop too.
Yeah.
Just, it's fun.
Yeah.
And you can sing along with it, Mariah Carey and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I tried doing that, and Gracie videos me and makes fun of me after.
Yes.
Because you got to go real high if you're going to do Mariah.
Can't do that. No.
He's-
Whitney
he
Houston,
attempts to do
love
it.
her too. That can't hit her notes. But
Yeah.
Not many people can.
No.
So what was your favorite song to sing with the band?
I
Or to
loved
perform?
Zombie. Honestly, that was one of my favorites, but
Yeah.
it took us a long time to get the guitar part down on that one, so we didn't do it very often. But anything Alanis Morissette or like, I love doing early Taylor Swift too. That was always fun.
Oh,
Yes.
T-Swift. Are you a Swiftie?
I wouldn't call myself a Swiftie because I don't know hardly anything about her, but
Yeah.
I love her music.
Yeah.
Other than that, she's dating that football guy. I know that. Everybody knows that. But yeah, I just loved pop music in general, and anything that was in my vocal range at the time was pretty much fair game.
Yeah.
So alto, soprano.
Even though I have a pretty raspy voice, I sing extremely high. I'm soprano
Wow.
1, which is
Wow.
descant soprano.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's really good.
I was
high.
gonna say throwback to my 6th grade talent show, singing Our Song by Taylor Swift.
Oh, that's one of the ones I did. Our song, yeah.
Gotta love it. That's one of her best.
Classic.
That's great. That's very cool. Yeah, I miss the days in the band.
Yeah.
I got recruited to be in a band in college. I sang with this other girl for like our sorority event, and this guy like came up to me after, and he was like, "Hey, like our lead singer just left the band, and like we have a performance this weekend. Like we need you." And I was like, "What?"
That's the dream right there.
And I was like, okay. And he was like, we do like all original music. So like you have to memorize these like 10 songs. So I'm like, okay. So he sends me the recordings. I'm listening to it. It was like a Tuesday, and our like next show was on like a Friday. And I'm just like, and he was like, if you don't know the words, doesn't matter. Just get out there and do it. Like we can't not do this show or something. And I was like, oh my gosh.
That's awesome.
But then I ended up like staying with him for like another 6 months or so, and
cool.
till the band broke up. And that was
the band
a sad
breakup.
day.
Did your band break up or?
I mean,
Yeah.
everyone just kind of like got married and moved on with their lives. But yeah.
Okay.
Y'all need a reunion
Oh gosh.
for a client appreciation event.
Yes.
Get the
gosh.
band back
All
together.
right, Thomas Hansen, Joshua Jones, and Sean Barabash. Do you hear that?
Yeah, y'all should do that.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
That's
That
so
would
cool.
be really funny,
That's
actually.
funny. All right, so you're getting into the summer. You have kids, and also real estate. People think, oh, you just have so much time to do everything, right? How do you have a consistent work-life balance?
Well, I am insanely busy right now from like top of the day to bottom of the day. I wake up very early, and I pretty much work whenever I have little pockets of time, even in the car. Like if we're at soccer practice, I've got my laptop open usually. But in the summer, I send my kids to camps because it's necessary.
It's a hack.
Yeah, it's necessary, and the cost benefit analysis, the benefit outweighs the cost in that situation.
Yeah.
It's nice to have the flexibility to be able to pick them up and take them wherever I need to go. But I definitely have to have time for appointments because that's most of my day is listing appointments and buyer consultations and other stuff like that. So I can't bring them along. As cute as they are,
Yeah.
they can be really annoying sometimes.
So what kind of camps are they involved in this summer?
It's mostly just, your classic summer camp, like swimming and, tire swings and singing songs and I don't know, all kinds of stuff. They're doing one gymnastics camp and a taekwondo camp. Those are the only like themed camps. That they're
Very
doing.
fun.
Yeah.
Very fun. Love that. So you bring your computer with you. That's a big part of kind of, I mean, on the way here, I was on my computer, like
Somebody's got to drive.
that's something that I've, communicated to people that I feel like a lot of people don't really understand is like we're always working. You know, like we don't get the opportunity to just clock out.
Yeah.
Although we may want to, and we may have like a good, you know, cutoff time. It's totally different to work in this kind of environment where like you're always kind of working.
Yes.
You know. So how has that been for you, like mentally? Are you able to kind of shut off and like have family time? Or is that something that you've struggled with?
I had to employ the do not disturb on my phone starting at, I started at 9 most of the time. But that really has saved my brain.
Yeah.
I'm really ADD, so I'm like, if my phone's blinking at me, I'm going to look at it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have to shut it off. I have to.
Yeah.
I didn't for like the first 2 years, and I need to now. But yeah, no, I have to be with my family on the weekends. I will show houses and do open houses if I need to. Part of the reason I wanted to grow a team is so that I could be available to my clients through the team in all of those ways, and we all share the burden of everybody on my team has kids. We all understand exactly what that means and what that entails. And actually, my newest addition to the team, her daughter's on my daughter's soccer team. So like we see each other there and do all that stuff too. But it's incredibly important for me to put family first. And I do that. I tell my clients that, and I let them do that as well. Like, if you have to cancel on me, that's fine. I understand. Everybody's got stuff going on. So just hopefully do it before I drive there.
Yes, please.
So what has been your biggest challenge as being a team leader and creating a team?
It's nerve-wracking to have people's livelihood in your hands. You know, there is a lot of motivation that's required in real estate, even if you're on a team. But that being said, the promise of a team is that you get more business, that you have more opportunities, that you have guidance and mentorship and training that you maybe wouldn't have if you were a solo agent. Yeah. So that is constantly on my mind, is like making sure that they have enough of what I'm offering. And, you know, especially I had a brand new agent that started with me on the team. And, you know, you're building from scratch. And so that I told her, I was like, your lifestyle is keeping me up at night right now. Like, I need to make sure that your kids are getting fed. Yeah. So that part of it is stressful. Yeah. But I feel well equipped to at least be their motivation and help keep them on track. Yeah. Yeah. And then the leads right now are still flowing in, and it's good business right now. So that part of it is scary, but I still think that the benefit outweighs the scariness of that in that situation. Yeah. Yeah.
So what is you mentioned you get up very early. What is a typical day for you look like?
Wake up at 5:30. That's probably not as early as a lot of people, but 5:30 so that I always do a morning meditation. It gives me 10 extra minutes to sleep, but also it helps wake me up, because if I just pop right out of bed, I'm just still like, oh my God. But it depends on the day if I work out in the morning or in the afternoon, but for the most part, I try to do it in the morning. And
that's your Peloton, right?
Yes. Yeah. All the Peloton things. I mostly do strength and yoga on Peloton, but I have the bike as well. Yeah. But yeah, and then I take the kids to school. They have to be there at 7:30. And then I just start my day, whether it be appointments first thing. We have 2 team meetings a week. I do my own lead gen activity whenever I can. That piece of it has gotten to be more difficult with the increase in business, and also with being a team leader and being available for the team. But I feel like if you put in the work before you start to get busy, it helps make it easier. You can just replicate what you did before. Right. But yeah, then I have to pick the kids up at 3. They have all the things, you know, baseball, soccer, taekwondo, guitar. Actually, all of us are in taekwondo, all 4 of us.
Let's go.
It's
That's
adorable.
Awesome.
The outfits are really, really unattractive.
Yeah, you have your gi.
Yes, we got the gi and the belts. And yeah, we take class together.
That's kind of cool, though. Yeah. I think that's a cool family experience that you guys get to do.
It is, and we're all like really excited about it. We're about to belt up. So
nice.
Going from white to yellow. Let's go.
How did you know that?
You
did
know,
some taekwondo?
I did karate for. Remember, I told you I signed up and did one class and signed up for a year and then never went back.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, why'd you do that?
Shout out to mom and dad for that. Thanks. Yeah. Hey, you know, it wasn't me.
That's when you went back to baseball?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, we did.
That's
because
cool.
Chris wanted to do it with Audrey, and then me and Weston sitting on the sidelines were like, we could do that too. And
Let's
so
go.
we just all started doing it.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's so fun.
And then I joined choir. So, like, there's a lot of extracurricular activities going on. So, it's a lot of shuffling around. My husband's the head of finance for a company in Mansfield. So, he's extremely busy all the time.
Yeah.
So, it really just is a lot of juggling and, you know, help from the village
Yeah.
of family that we have around here.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, y'all do have family that lives around here?
Yeah, it's mostly all Chris's side of the family. My brother lives in Burleson, but both my parents passed away, so we just have mostly his family, brothers, sisters. Well, they're all brothers, but sister-in-laws, and then the greater, larger family, because my mother-in-law is one of 10 kids, is all in Arlington as well.
Wow.
Those roots are deep.
Yeah,
I
talk
love
about
that.
a lot of cousins to play. Wait, those aren't cousins, are they?
Yeah,
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 they
they
are
we've got
cousins.
a lot
There
of
are
cousins.
cousins.
That's
yeah.
cool.
And they all go to the same school, pretty much.
Oh,
Oh,
for the
that's
most
cool.
cool.
part, yeah. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
great.
So one of the things that kind of drew me towards you was your video on Facebook and how consistent you were and how great you were in front of the camera. How long did that take you to get comfortable? Because I talk to agents all the time, like, I don't want to do video. Well, I don't sound good. Like, what made you be consistent and kind of, you know, block out all the haters?
Yeah.
You know.
You have to not care about what people think.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of haters, especially against real estate agents for some reason. Like, and a lot of people, when they like say mean things on TikTok or whatever, I'm like, oh, did you have a bad experience with a real estate agent? And they're like, oh, I've never used a real estate agent. I'm like, so how do you know?
Yeah.
Like, how do you know that you hate them?
Yeah.
But that's a side note. No, you have to not care what people think. That's a transcendent level you get to in your 30s, I believe. So if you're still in your 20s, I'm sorry. But yeah, you have to be consistent. You have to not be a perfectionist.
Yeah.
I love to be the one take wonder. I have days where I cannot speak English and I have horrible like blooper reels from it because I just can't talk. But for the most part, I try not to analyze and over.
Yes.
And if I mess up, I'll just keep talking because I know movie magic. I can edit whatever I want.
Yeah.
But I started using this app called Marco Polo, which is just like FaceTime, but the other person doesn't have to be available at the same time as you. It gets you really comfortable seing yourself talking on camera because it's a forward-facing app.
Interesting.
So you're talking basically to yourself.
Yeah.
And find a best friend or a sister or a brother or whatever that you don't mind just blathering on to for a long time. It'll get you more comfortable talking on the camera. And just do it. Just show up and do it. I did it when my hair was like a chia pet. Like I was telling you guys, when I lost my hair, like it was growing back all crazy, and I still made videos every day.
I'm gonna go back and find
it. When my hair is really, really short, you'll see like it is a halo of fuzz. It's great. I still showed up every day.
You still showed up.
That's awesome.
That was the key.
So a lot of people talk about, well, I don't know what to say as well. Where do you find your content to make for your videos?
Sometimes they're just ideas that pop in my head, and then I'll try to write scripts or whatever for it. And I don't read scripts. I write it down so that I have it in my brain, and then I'll just try to replicate whatever I thought I was going to say. ChatGPT.
Oh, I love ChatGPT.
Like if you have an idea for a great theme of a video, but you don't have all the words you want to say, it's like, hey, what could I say about blah into ChatGPT? And say, I'm a real estate agent. What can I say about whatever? And it's great to just give you an outline of stuff.
There's
and then,
endless content that you can create.
Honestly, there really is. And I think people are craving these days like local specific content. It's really good to give them, hey, this is how real estate works and this is how transactions work, and here's some good tips and tricks. Those are amazing videos. I love those as well. But local content, I think people love to see it.
Yeah.
Like, what is this neighborhood like? And what is this restaurant like? You know, did you know we had this mom and pop restaurant that's amazing down the street? So I try to implement that as much as I can. I have slowed down so much on videos lately because there has not been a single minute in my day. But I try to get them in whenever I have a moment.
Yeah.
And if I can do the short ones, I'll do those just to make sure my face is still out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So don't overthink it, I guess is my tip. Don't overthink it. Just get ideas from other people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We are not enemies. We are not competitors. We have different spheres.
Yeah.
We have completely different people that we're talking to.
Yep.
So I have had a lot of agents in the past ask me, hey, can I use that idea? I'm like, yes, you don't have to ask me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only
But
thing
there's people out there that'll be like,
so many
you
people.
copied my video,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
I mean, I could
What?
understand if they're doing it like verbatim,
Yeah.
like exactly what they're saying, but just go take the transcript, send it to ChatGPT and say, rewrite this mug. And then
Yeah.
you got a new video.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can rewrite stuff in your own words too. I mean,
Right.
ChatGPT sounds like a very flowery, like sometimes it's way over the top. I'm like, I do not talk like that. at
yeah,
all.
yeah.
But the ideas are there.
Yes.
And that's all
Right.
you need is the ideas.
Right.
And, hey, ChatGPT, give me 10 ideas for 30-second or less videos about real estate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just make one off of each of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't stop and redo it 100 times.
Yes.
Just say it.
Yeah.
I'm a huge
And
one take
edit it.
person.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
And Video Leap has a really great editing tool that's free. And you can just cut out all the ums and ors and whatever.
Yeah.
I use submagic.co for my B-roll.
Mm.
I think that was paid though.
Yeah.
But there's so many things out there that you can use to make your videos better.
Agreed.
I've noticed a lot of likes on my end, especially during the podcast. I'll be like, so, and I'm like,
Yeah.
stop saying like.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
once you hear
when
it,
I
you're
just
like, I
crop
can't
it out.
unhear it.
I know, but this has given me the opportunity to get better because now I actually think about it and I'm like, okay, maybe I can use a sentence without like.
Yeah.
You just did.
But
Yeah. It's
But
hard.
we also, I was going to say, we created an entire script on ChatGPT for a church camp that we put on that was supposed to be about safari animals.
Yeah.
And this thing was completely contextualized, 4 different pages, all 4 different days of content.
Yeah.
I mean, it's phenomenal what
It's
you
there.
can create.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's no excuse to say oh, I don't know what to say or I don't have anything to put out there. There's so much you can put out there.
Yeah.
So-
Agreed.
Yeah. And then Tom Ferry has made his own ChatGPT, which is just real estate.
Really?
So it's even more narrowed down and specific. So if
That's
I really
cool.
want something, because it's not just stuff from the web that he pulls into it, it's actual transcripts from coaching sessions that get pulled in there. It's ideas that the Tom Ferry ecosystem, all of us have given
Wow.
to them. It mines
Interesting.
all of the resources that we share, like the SOPs and all that stuff is out there. So if you write me an SOP for this, it probably came from another really successful agent.
Interesting.
That's
So
so
is
cool.
that a free program you can get, or it's a subscription based thing?
If
you
you're a
can
coaching
apply to?
client, you have access to it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very good. It's good info for
Yeah.
everybody, all the listeners.
Yeah, and Tom, I'll take my check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So tell us a little bit about some of the client experiences that you've had, whether they be great, not so great, things you've learned throughout the process with clients and things like that.
I have not had one normal transaction ever.
That's good.
Wow.
Yeah. If you ask my broker, she thinks it's hilarious. Every time I call her, she's like, I swear you're like me when I first started. You get the weirdest stuff. But I've had some great clients and really fun experiences. One of the most ridiculous ones I had was there was a vacant house that I was selling for an older woman who had just hurt her leg and it was about to freeze. It was going to be really, really cold. Everybody was winterizing. And so I said, hey, I know you can't get up and move around to go do all this stuff to the house, but we were about to close in 7 days. And the worst thing that could have happened is the pipes burst
yep.
right before we closed. So it's like, hey, let me just order some faucet covers on Amazon and I'll go out there and do it. And she was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. That would be amazing. So I go out there, get the faucet cover on the first faucet, go around the other side. the hose is still plugged into the other one, so I can't put the faucet cover on it. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just unhook the hose and put the faucet cover on. So I start to walk away, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that faucet is pouring water. And so I take the faucet cover off, and I can't get it to turn off. And so and it's pouring water, and it's freezing outside. And I'm standing in a puddle of water and grass and mud, and I'm trying to frantically get the hose back on so I can at least stop the pouring. And so the water's on, and I'm trying to screw the hose back on. Just spraying everywhere.
No.
I'm soaking wet. It's like freezing outside, and I'm just covered in water. And I call her, and she's like, oh, yeah, we never take that faucet or that hose off the faucet because it's broken. And it's like, okay, well, nobody knew that. The inspector didn't catch it.
But what's your water bill if it never goes off?
Yeah. And I'm like, how is this possible? So we had to call the city, get the water turned off, had a plumber come out. We had to cut it off at the spigot. There was no fixing it.
Oh,
it was completely shredded.
No.
So, and it was the screw, the handle part that was shredded. So I had to have that crucial conversation with the buyer's agent saying, hey, you're one less faucet on this house now. But we saved the house from being flooded and or the pipes bursting. Yeah. And she was so grateful, and the client was so grateful. I was so nervous to tell them, like, sorry, you only have one faucet now instead of two. But it went over really well. But it was definitely hilarious. Like, it was one of those moments you're like, this is a sitcom. I'm being I'm being punked right now.
Yeah, being filmed.
Yeah.
Everyone come out.
Punked. That is a great show.
Yeah.
That's a throwback right there.
It's a great show.
Ashton Kutcher. Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was my funniest one, I think, probably.
Was there any transactions that like gave a bunch of sentimental value, like just really meant a lot to you because of whatever circumstance?
Yeah, for sure. I have two really, but one of them was a friend that I had since college. We'd been friends for 20 years. Her husband bought the house when we were still seniors in college, and they lived in it, had their son there, raised him. I think he's 4 now, about to be 4 maybe. And so it was really sentimental for them to be selling that. And they had made it their own. They'd done a lot of personalization updates, beautiful house in Fort Worth. And yeah, it was really, really tough for them to say goodbye. It was like their baby and their baby's house, like, so that one was really special to me. And I just felt so honored to be trusted with that big, important event for them. And then the other one I would say is the very first house I ever sold in my entire career was a coworker from Sally Beauty. So it was a house in Denton, which is not really my service area, but I was like, yeah, buddy, I'll do that.
Yeah.
And she was such a great client. She was so excited about buying the house. And then to come full circle 2 years later and get to sell it for her was amazing. And she moved to Washington. Just being there in the house, the very first house I ever sold, and being the listing agent on it was so cool. So, and
full circle.
Yeah, definitely. And really great experiences all around.
That's
that
awesome.
One. Yeah.
That's great. So I wanted to ask this. What advice would you give to someone who is buying or selling a home for the first time?
Please hire a real estate agent.
Okay.
Would be my very first. And that's not self-serving whatsoever. That is the God's honest truth. It is way more complicated than you think it is.
Yeah.
There are so many things that can go wrong, especially if you're buying for the first time. There's about 26 different places in the contract where you can lose money or definitely get screwed over if you're not knowledgeable.
Yep.
It's a very litigious industry that we're in. People are very sue happy. This is likely the largest transaction they're ever going to make in their lives.
Yep.
And so it's emotional. It's not just transactional. So you need someone guiding you through the transactional side of it, but also being your emotional support buddy along the way. Most of my job is helping people get through these milestones of the contract and their emotional milestones, especially for sellers too. I mean, having to get through all the different contingencies and high-fiving along the way is one of my favorite parts of the job. It's like, we did it. Appraisal, yes. So you need that person.
Yeah.
You can hire a lawyer to write the contract for you, but you can't hire a lawyer to walk you through the transaction and
Or
to make
negotiate
sure,
things for you. Yeah.
Exactly. And I would say probably the biggest fallout for people who don't use agents is not being on time with the transaction. So they're missing the deadlines.
Yep.
Buyers have a lot more deadlines than sellers.
Correct.
And the buyers that don't have the agents guiding them through those deadlines will miss their inspection. They'll miss their financing deadline. They could potentially push out closing. And every day that they push out closing is more money that the seller is having to pay.
Yep.
So this whole NAR lawsuit thing obviously is a big deal with the industry. And a lot of the public doesn't really know what's going on with it, but the industry is very intimately aware. But my biggest thing on that is if we can't prove our value, then this industry is going to die. And that's my main goal right now, is showing the public why our job is so important. It's crazy to me that we're so hated, like seemingly so hated, when we are in, like I said, one of the most sue-happy industries in the world. And you would not bat an eyelash at hiring a lawyer to help you through a litigious situation.
Correct.
These are legal contracts with lots of money on the line.
Yep.
You need a licensed representative to be able to help you through those transactions.
Yeah.
And so I think, that's my first tip. The other tip is to really narrow down what you want, because I think a lot of people don't realize what's available out there at this price range that they want to be at. That's another part of my job, is to help them pick and choose the must-haves and nice-to-haves and don't really needs.
Yeah.
Don't really need.
Yeah.
I love
Absolutely. That's good.
That's good. So you kind of talked about real estate agents and why you would hire one. What makes you different from other real estate agents?
Well, I think I've done the prep work that is required to be a confident negotiator in this industry. So I think one of the questions on there was like, what book would you write? And for me, it would be like how to help people understand how important confidence is, but how to get it really, because you need it to be able to help someone feel comfortable about putting this big of a transaction in your hands. And I think what sets me apart is I've made myself knowledgeable. I've done the prep work. Preparation is key for everything. I spend a lot of time getting ready for listing appointments. I spend a lot of time researching homes for my buyers.
Yeah.
I will call entire neighborhoods if we can't find the house that my buyer is wanting, just to see if anybody has even thought about selling, if that fits their bill. And that actually helped me get a house for my clients in Colleyville, in a neighborhood that they really wanted to be in.
Wow.
Because those houses fly off the shelves.
Yeah.
So we were looking for months, and I finally just called everybody.
Yeah.
That's not normal, by the way.
Yeah. I will go the extra mile. I really will. I know a lot of people say that, but I won't do stuff like pack boxes for you. But I will go the extra mile to get the house that you want, or to sell your house. We're very cutting edge on my team, like in terms of technology. We use a lot of AI, AI remodel. I do use AI staging sometimes if it's a vacant house. But yeah, we employ as many cutting edge things as you can think of, and we're really big on open houses, mega open houses, broker open houses, neighborhood specific open houses, all the different ways that you can get a house sold. We're on it.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So do you typically enjoy the selling aspect of the side of real estate or the buying side more?
I like both. I really do. I'm right now primarily a listing agent just because that's what's going on in the industry.
Yeah.
But I just closed one buyer. I've got another buyer that's under contract right now. It's so exciting. Like that, getting to tell them we won the offer is like the best day ever.
Yeah.
And then helping them get it to the finish line.
Yeah.
So great. I love closing day.
Yeah.
So awesome just to be able to see how excited they are. And stressed out because they're having to move all their stuff. I'm like, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
I think the cool thing about this conversation, though, is like I can really see when you're talking about real estate, you are so excited, so happy. Like you can see a joy that is coming off of you, which a lot of people treat it as like a day-to-day or something very transactional. But I can tell like it means more to you than other real estate agents, which is a cool thing because we're dealing with people's biggest purchase of their lives. And if you're not taking it seriously and you're not really caring about them, we can set them up for failure.
Yeah.
So I think it's so cool how excited you are, like when you start talking about real estate.
Yes, I'm incredibly happy. It's funny. I had someone come up to me the other day and say, "I swear you get younger every time I see you." And I'm like, I think I'm just happier. Like, truly, I think that's the difference between where I was 3 years ago and where I am today. So you're gonna make me cry. Oh my God. But yeah, no, I love it, and I think it's so important to be passionate about it because it is hard, and there are so many places to mess up, and there are so many places to impact your client's life. In a positive or negative way, and so you want to try to make that as positive as possible.
I think that's just looking at our jobs as not of a means to an ends, but we have the ability, whether you're an insurance, a lender, a real estate agent, a McDonald's worker, anything, you have the opportunity to positively impact somebody's life. And how do you look at that job? Do you look at it as a means to an end, or do you look at it as like, hey, this is my purpose. I have the opportunity to change somebody's life today, which is just, I like that.
I'm not sure what book it is, but I've heard this concept, like no matter what you're doing, like be the best at what you're doing, like whether it's washing cars, whether it's being a real estate agent, you know, just like having that mindset, like I just want to make the biggest impact, like where I'm at right now. And that's definitely a concept I feel like we all you know, share. So
if you could go back to your, I'm going to think you were 18 or 19 when your ballet career was over, what would you tell that girl?
That you can find the passion again, like that it exists in other places, because you're so tunnel visioned when you're young, and you don't realize that other things can exist than whatever it is that you want in that moment. I look at my kids right now, and Audrey she's just, it's the end of the world when things don't go her way. And I'm like, oh, baby, it's going to be all right. We're going to figure this out together. But yeah, just that you can be good at more than one thing. And that all it takes is drive and consistency.
Absolutely. So one of the questions that we like to ask at the near end of our podcast is just about identity and worth. So, you know, something that we've seen in the industry and really in any industry, people can put their identity in their work or in the fact that they're a mother or in the fact that they're a wife, things like that. So what do you feel like you've been able to put your identity and your worth in?
I mean, I think my identity, if I could sum it up, would be like, I just want to be the most transparent and honest that I can be in all of the things that I do. So for me, it's learning how to let go of caring what people think just to get the right thing done, right? You want to do the right thing no matter what. So if I had to like pinpoint what I want to come across in my brand or in myself that other people are seeing, is that I'm being real. I'm not trying to mess around with anybody. I'm trying to just get the information out to the people in the way that it can be, you know, best understood and truthful and honest and as transparent as possible. It's another reason why I'm kind of excited about the NAR lawsuit and not so upset about it, because I do think that our industry needs more transparency.
Wow.
But my identity is really just that I'm here to impact the world in a positive way through my family, through my work, through my church, all of that stuff.
That's awesome.
So what would you like to tell the listeners regarding working with you, working with your team, maybe even a real estate agent who might want to work with your team? What are some things that you want to put out there for the listeners?
Our team is for people that want opportunities while building their brand. So I want to help you build the same type of image that I have going out there, that people know that I'm a real estate agent. It takes being able to support yourself with the financial side of things, and those are the opportunities, right? So that you can have the time to build your brand. And that's what I offer with my team. I provide opportunities. I help coach through, you know, marketing, brand building, social media. I'm there for every transactional question. It's really a supportive team. We're small on purpose. I'm not trying to recruit a bunch of people right now, but I do have room for one more agent if somebody's interested. But yes, small on purpose so that we can be incredibly intentional, and so that there's enough work for everybody.
Yeah.
And we really are focused on doing the right thing for the client. My broker is a contract Nazi, so we're extremely to the letter of the law. And if you're not that kind of an agent, you probably won't fit in with me and the brokerage. But we're incredibly prepared for all the new conversations that have to happen come August. And so if you're nervous about the changes that are coming, this is a great place to land. We do role play, objection handling. We have all types of resources for how to have listing conversations around commissions. We've created tiered commission menu so that the consumer has a choice. And we say, at this price, this is what we offer. At this price, this is what we offer. And at this price, you get everything.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's awesome. Well, we've had a blast getting able to learn more about you and about your family and your business. And I'm honest, I can see a true joy when you talk about real estate, which is really cool, because I think that's something that's missing in this, not just this industry, but there's just this world, is that they truly see their job as a passion and where they should be and where they're called to be to make an impact. So
absolutely,
it feels that way. So I'm glad you can see it.
That's great. Well, we just want to give a big shout out to Lauren Kerschen with DFW's Finest Realty Group. If you guys are looking for a home in the DFW area, give her a shout and her team. They'd love to help you out. We also want to give a shout out to Tap In Studios, where we do this podcast in Arlington. If you ever want to do a podcast or thinking about it, do it. It's a lot of fun. We really enjoy it. And that wraps it up for this episode. And we really appreciate you coming, Lauren.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Peace.